Hello, my name is Julie Alsop, and I'm the director at ACEL Grant Services, and I am so happy to be a part of this event today. I have been a grants professional with my GPC since 2016, and I'm involved in my local GPA chapter as a board member and the co-chair of the program committee. So happy Grants Professionals Day, and I look forward to sharing with you. Power of partnerships. Today, we're going to discuss the different types of partnership. Partnering and partnership means different things to different people. And I'm going to give you some more specific definitions of levels of partnership that will help you better understand how it's really a continuum. We're going to get real about the fact that sometimes it really would be easier not to partner. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself. However, in this session, we're going to talk about how you can navigate the challenges that effective partnerships can create, and how you as a leader can help navigate and mitigate those challenges within your organization or amongst your clients in order to reap the benefits of meaningful partnerships. Marriage isn't easy either, right? Finally, in addition to providing you with some skills for knowing when to and when not to partner, we're also going to talk about some of the ways that you can help your organization or your clients to be a great partner. I have experience in writing both federal and foundation grants, and we will talk about some differences in regards to partnerships across funders as well. This slide will provide you with the learning objectives that we will cover over the course of this presentation. If we successfully meet our learning objectives, we will also have addressed one of the core competencies as defined by the Grants Professional Certification Institute. So you'll see here, in order to develop an effective program and project design, stakeholder input and involvement is important from start to finish. Partnership is not something that happens only if you get a grant. Partners are needed while you are creating the project. This slide provides the definition of a partnership. The word partner is a verb. The word stakeholder is a noun. You partner with a stakeholder, or you are in a partnership together. Partnering and partnerships require action. Each party should be actively involved in the relationship, and each party has rights and responsibilities. Think about the organization or institution that you would consider to be your strongest partner. What is at the center of your relationship? I hope it is based upon more substance than the two characters on this slide. Now, it's a place to start. Partnerships may certainly be initiated due to the fact that two parties are substance use or child sex trafficking. However, that's not the place to stop. The extent to which parties seek and work at figuring out what level they want to work together may help you figure out where you are falling along the partnership continuum. You see, the term partnership is oftentimes used generally to describe a wide range and depth of relationships. I had the absolute privilege of participating in a year-long professional development experience focused on adaptive leadership. The continuum that you see on this slide was shared with us as part of our discussion about how community work is hard, it is messy, and it is risky, but it is so rewarding. This chart was created by a man named Arthur Himmelman. Notice that partnering is not listed on any column on this slide. Partnership is this continuum. Where a relationship falls along this continuum depends upon the formality, the characteristics, and the extent to which resources are shared. I want to make it very clear that characterizing a relationship as a networking partnership does not mean it's bad or low quality, as long as the outputs and outcomes attributed to that relationship are not overstated or assumed. If I'm a health system and I state in my grant proposal that I'm partnering with an organization and that 3 of their locations agreed to put flyers on their desk about a weight loss program, I'm not going to write in an evaluation section that says that agency will be a key contributor of BMI data through a shared electronic health record and provide indicator data for a key grant objective. The latter would require a formal MOU and much more coordination of activities and responsibility for that to be appropriate. There's actually a continuum to the left of networking, to the left of networking that's called immuring. Immuring is the complete silo approach. Program activities are delivered with no input or exchange of ideas with other institutions. Networking. Let's put this in perspective. We give each other, two organizations give each other their elevator speeches and then go home with a few people added to our mailing list. This is how I would characterize what I would describe earlier, putting flyers on the counter. Maybe they do it, maybe they don't, but if they forget, the whole program doesn't fall apart. The next column is coordinating. Here's an example. I just found out that your church wants to have a safe Halloween event. So does mine. I don't want to cancel mine and you don't want to cancel yours, but I'll hold mine from 4 to 6 p.m. if your agency will hold yours from 6 to 8 p.m. This time frame is good for families and it's pretty good for both of our churches too. No one has to cancel their event. We just have to each adjust a bit. We can both put information about the other's events on a flyer and both agencies can hand them out to our respective constituents. If I'm creating a logic model, they might be represented in the outputs column as they contribute to the number of impressions or serve as recruitment partners. Perhaps if you were to think of the metaphor of dating, this might be a mixer or a group date. The next column is cooperation. Continuing along our metaphor, we've gone on a couple first dates and now we're meeting the family. I have a housing program and the children are unsupervised during after school hours. I'm going to let your organization's tutoring program come in a couple days a week and deliver your curriculum during hours when our community room is open on a regular basis. Maybe we will even promote to the residents that they can be volunteer tutors for the program. We all feel good about what is now available for the children. It's been helping resident retention too. In this case, there probably should be a memorandum of understanding where each organization confirms when and how often they will provide services, whether tutors will be provided, when they will be scheduled, will they be paid, will they train any of the residents to be tutors. You might formalize the exact space that is being provided to them and what the in-kind value of that space is worth. The service they offer, tutoring, could be listed as a strategy in a logic model, and their curriculum would be an input. Your ability to deliver better outcomes for the children at your location is dependent upon the service or activity that they are offering. Collaborating. This is getting serious. You're going to buy a dog together. You're a health center that serves a very high population of low-income residents that are uninsured or underinsured. I have an evidence-based program for lifestyle intervention to address chronic disease. You have an electronic health record. I'm not quite there yet. I've never had to worry about HIPAA compliance issues. If I partner with you, I will have to make an investment in software and also address legal concerns surrounding compliance. But once I do, I can accept referrals through that EHR. I'm nervous, but the results could be a game changer. The level of partnership that extends beyond the chart to the right is often called collective impact. And this is a buzzword that is sometimes misused or overused. So I'm going to provide you with some additional definition. This typically means that the work of the collective partnership is focused on a new agenda that is not being or cannot be fully addressed by any one entity on its own. These partnerships require the establishment of new organizational documents, sometimes new mission statements, bylaws, decision-making protocol, and even a board of directors. A backbone agency assumes some of the infrastructure responsibilities, especially in the early stages before some of the joint products are created. If you are writing a planning grant, the establishment of a collective impact partnership could even be the ultimate outcome of your project. So what do you have to lose or gain with partnerships? The first step is unpacking your organization's philosophy about partnering. The difference between the columns in the previous slide has to do with the extent to which partners invest time, trust, and resources. And collectively, we can call these things turf. The more risk involved in engaging in the relationship, the more reward, or in our world as grant writers, impact. So on this slide, you'll see some of the tasks that are involved with partnerships that take the most time. Investing this time is a risk, and you must determine if your organization considers the potential reward worth it. We're all limited in the amount of time we have in a given day. You'll be more successful if you're realistic in your consideration of the amount of time that you and those within your agency will need to be involved for partnerships to be successful. As organizational leaders, you've worked hard to build trust with your constituencies, develop strategic plans, and hire great staff. So this step, when you are challenged to increasingly trust another organization's leaders and constituencies to come through for mutual or shared benefit, this is probably the hardest part of this work. Are you the oldest organization in town providing the service that you do? Have you received funding from certain funders for 10 years straight? Do you have a partnership with the largest school district that provides you with steady referrals into your program? On this slide, I've listed some things that you might consider turf. The decision that needs to be made is whether you fight to keep control of your own turf so that no one else takes it away, or whether you view those components as opportunities to leverage. Leverage is one of my favorite words, as it sums up to me what partnerships can make possible. It means to use something to maximum advantage. The fact is that more and more frequently, funders are requiring that organizations partner to leverage resources. That means sharing turf. If we fight too hard to protect the turf, the reality is we may not get anything. While it may seem initially easier to go it alone, I don't recommend it. Large funders, as I mentioned, are increasingly making it a requirement that organizations come together if they want to request large dollars. Let's be real, the impetus for many partnerships is often money. I just told you that it's becoming a requirement, and partnerships and collaborations are often awarded with larger dollar amounts. Referrals. Where do your clients come from? What if someone comes to you that doesn't meet the eligibility criteria of your programs and services? Do you have a plan for where you might send them? Do you have bi-directional referral pathways to ensure that you are doing whatever you can to reach your target population? That's another reason to partner. Volunteerism. Some agencies do this well and others have some room to grow. Partnering with other organizations may give your volunteers opportunities to play expanded roles or different roles, which may be tremendously rewarding to them. It's often human to err on the side of, if I let my volunteers that I've worked so hard to cultivate be exposed to another organization through a partnership, will I lose them? However, again, sometimes you might be providing them with an experience that rewards them even more, and they are appreciative of your ability to make that possible. Filling gaps in services. Your organization is likely very good at what you do, but what are your gaps? What gaps do you have that if they were filled, you could do what you do even better? I'm going to throw one out there that is very common, and that's transportation. Transportation is very expensive, and there's liability involved. Some organizations have policies against owning vehicles. But if you can work out a partnership with another organization that perhaps has a fleet of buses that's sitting empty during the week, what barriers to access could you break through? Okay. Relationships. Did your board member tell you about an agency for which they also serve as a board member that they think you should partner with? This volunteer has a desire to connect two organizations that he or she cares about very much. This is oftentimes worth exploring. Depending upon the functional role that you play, you as a grant writer may need to help broker these relationships and partnerships. Depending upon your influence, you can make a huge difference in the grants that you write if you have these perspectives. Okay. No matter what your role is, it's important to understand your organization or the organization you're working with, their history with partnerships. This context is especially important if you are the one seeking to broker this influence to seek grant funding. If the organization has not been a great partner in the past, own it and help the organization own it and identify the reasons and address them straight on. If these factors are still in place, what can you do to mitigate the challenges of the past? You need to encourage leadership to have an upfront conversation with a previous partner or funder to discuss how things have changed and how you move forward for the future. Okay. In order to be a good partner and to pursue relevant partnerships, you need to know who you are and who you are not. What do you do well? This often leads to two questions I often see on a grant, which are very telling about organizations. Who is like you? And how are you different or unique? Okay. What else do your clients need? Do you refer them to one or more other organizations for these services? See, how do you determine who are the best people to refer them to? Many board members sit on other boards and may have advice for you. Perhaps you sit on a coalition for housing, homelessness, education, or the arts. Or you might also ask some of your major funders who else they are funding that's similar to you, especially if you have a theory of change. These are examples of ways that you can gain knowledge. Okay. Your organization is willing to try and develop partnerships, and they have a list of partners that they believe could provide complementary services. Now what? Start small. Have meetings to share who you are. It's kind of like dating. Give a background of your history and how you got to where you are. Talk about your goals, your mission, and who you serve. When you're ready to share more information, you can talk about the number of people that you serve and what types of outputs and outcomes you have. Perhaps one of the reasons you're interested in a partnership is because you can only measure outputs because your clients go somewhere else for the next service. If you work together, perhaps you can measure outcomes together. Obviously, I'd love it if organizations would tell each other what their clients say they don't do well, and then search out organizations who do those activities well. But we understand that this is some of an organization's most vulnerable points. And so this might be a long-term relationship goal, not a place to start. Trust will increase over time. Okay. How to plan for partnership. So again, examine what you have in common with others and start to develop a more formal process. This might mean creating referral processes. Okay? Write a letter of support and commitment for each other's organizations, telling funders how what each of you do is beneficial for their clients. Then write a letter committing to each other in some way. Shared clients, shared spaces, shared outcomes, shared data. Then create a memorandum of understanding to explain what are each organization's roles and responsibilities toward client outcomes that you are trying to achieve. Okay. For many organizations, it's about the data. Again, start by coming together and look at community data together. For example, Head Start is required to do community needs assessments every 5 years. Early childhood programs, funders, school districts should work together with other grassroots organizations like churches and look at data about households and families in non-threatening ways outside of grant opportunities, and then come together and look at what could we do together and where are the gaps. Okay. Coming together and with other organizations also helps you look to understand how big the need is and how many each of you are serving, and again, where are the overlaps. And finally, take a look at how you can address that need. What outcomes point to addressing the need? To move families out of poverty, do they need a job with sick time? They can get preventative care so they have fewer acute health issues. Do they need financial literacy to learn how to address debt, save money, and wisely invest? Ultimately, pick partners that you can work with to address community needs. Pick data points that you can all agree on, and pick common assessment tools or methods so that you can compare apples to apples and progress over time. Then you can start by picking short time frames to do benchmark check-ins, like periodically. This will help build upon success and your risk tolerance and decrease the risk of problems in the middle of multi-year grants. Again, partnerships are invaluable. They're becoming more and more critical for funders, and they help deliver impact that is often so much greater than any organization can do on its own. I hope this has given you just a taste of the power of partnerships, and I look forward to any questions that you may have.